Hi, and welcome to the second video in my Simple Project Management series. This video is going to cover the initiation process of projects, and it's going to build a little bit more on what we talked about in the last video, which was that kind of overall view of a project and some of those shared terms and the vocabulary that we're going to be using in all of these videos so that you can kind of understand what project management principles are about without getting bogged down in a lot of details and a lot of heavy thought and theory. Um, so, what the initiation process is, this is your first step in the project plan or in project management. What you're going to be doing here is you have been handed a project, and your supervisor or whoever has handed it to you has said, okay, I want this done. So, what I need you to do is do it. Well, this is your basically your role now. So, what you need to do is you need to figure out just how much of this project has been laid out and defined, and what you are going to need to be able to look for and define in order to bring a good handle on what the project is, what its objective is, how you're going to be doing it, what you're going to be doing, and just the general benefits and the case of the project. It doesn't need to be anything in the weeds necessarily, because chances are, unless you are doing more and more progressively difficult projects and progressively complex projects, a lot of things can be done fairly quickly. So, what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to establish your project charter. And what you're going to need with your project charter is you are going to need to figure out what this project is about. You may not be privy to all of the details, but you should be able to talk to either your supervisor or your sponsor, the person who gave the project to you, or potentially get information from the person who assigned it to them and is kind of the potentially like their superior and the driving force behind the project. Because what you need to know is all the information possible of basically what's the overall business case for this? What is the purpose of the project? What, in general terms, are you looking for as an outcome of this project? What are you going to be producing? And what is that deliverable that you are going to be producing going to look like? What's it going to do? In just kind of high level terms. It doesn't have to get any deeper than that at this point, because that's what later forms of the project process are for. That's where you're going to be working in the next video. Um, but you want to have a handle on what it is you're going to be doing and why you're doing it. So it really is kind of a fact finding mission. And this charter is also going to be something that you're going to refer back to along the project as you are like developing the plan, as you're executing the plan, to make sure that everything that you're doing lines up with that charter, lines up with that business case, and that you are going to be producing something that is aligned to what you were expected to produce. The other thing about the charter that you're going to need to do, the other thing is to identify your stakeholders. Now, your stakeholders are going to be internal, they might be external, they might be within a lot of different departments. It's going to depend on the project. Let's say, for instance, you are doing a social media campaign for a new service of your organization. What you are going to have is you're going to have your internal stakeholders. Your internal stakeholders would be like your project sponsor and anyone who is like above that, so your boss plus anyone who is above that, and the possibly the product manager or whoever is in charge of that service. Um, you are going to be having a stakeholders who are part of your team, anyone who might help you to work on this project as your project team, somebody who might be writing, might be designing graphics for you. Those are potential stakeholders as well. You may not get them involved immediately, but you might get them involved later on, and you have to remember them. Then you've got your external stakeholders. You've got your people that all of your followers that you are going to be delivering this campaign to. You've got to think about them as well. So you're kind of defining the stakeholders, defining all the people who are going to be impacted by this project, because all the people who are impacted by this project, internally and externally, are important. They are a voice, and they will basically define whether or not your project is a success. Now, once you've done that work, you can go ahead and kind of write up your project charter statement, and doesn't have to be anything detailed, just kind of list down your who, what, when, where, why, if you need to, bullet points, or if you're more of a writer, get into it, list down your high level information, list down your stakeholders, and go into your sponsor, go into your boss and say, okay, hey, this project you've handed me, this is what I see it as I've talked to you, as I've talked to other people, and as I've kind of done a little bit of fact finding into it. What I want you to do is, can you look over this charter and tell me, is this all correct? Is there anything else that I need to be looking at? Anything else that I need to be thinking about? And you want to get your sponsor to sign off on that. Because once you have a charter that's signed off on, then you know that you're working from a place that should be a good foundation. The other thing that you might want to work in there is in your charter, try to figure out what your responsibility is, what your authority is. Because as a project manager, if you have more authority to be able to say, hey, I want to get this done, do you have the authority to make expenditures? Do you have the authority to ask for team members? That's the kind of thing that you're going to be looking for. So from there, remember, get all your facts together, get your stakeholders, define your charter, and then you are ready to start moving into project planning. Thanks.